Let me know when you're ready there, Reika. Let me know when you're ready there, Reika.
And convince.
Let me know when you're ready there. I'll take a report. All right, wanted to do a little training session today. Just wanted to go over healing. I left a link in the Discord for everybody to check it out. Start with our typical disclaimer. You know, obviously there's. Let me know when you're ready. No magic bullet build. A lot of people wanted to very creative. Have do a little training. Really fantastic set combos. Want to find something that's good for you, that works for you, not necessarily LCAST or other people. You know, and then one of the great things I love to do is I love to bounce questions off other healers to see what are they doing, what works for them, and how can we best integrate, best learn, best practices into our group's training and raid tactics. Attributes open for here. Usually I try to stick with about 10 health, 5 stam, and the balance of magicka. What about you guys? What do you guys got?
All magicka.
I've got mine in all magicka.
Same. All magicka.
Well, question.
Depends though.
So my question: do you guys have problems getting locked down on your with and running out of stam at times?
Sometimes.
So that's why I put a little bit of stam in there. Other healers that I remember running into, I used to think that it was always a min-max game where healers had to run 100% magicka. But keep in mind, from a survivability standpoint, healers do their best work when they're not locked down, right, and they're not dead. So just something to think about. I always put at least 5 to 10 stam on my healers, and if I can't do that, I certainly put stam enchants down. So I can put stam enchants on some of my armor to get me to somewhere around 12 heal or 12k stam. That 12k stam is invaluable when it comes to being able to resist lockdowns and CCs.
Well, I've got tri-stat on all my gear.
How much total stamina do you have? Max stamina?
15,706.
Okay. Yeah, see, I'm at 14.4. So we're about the same, in the same boat there.
And 28,239 health, 35,857 magicka.
Wow, that's a nice pool you got there.
Valandrill brought up something about the snow treaders. I did see a set that had that for a healer, and that way you can't be slowed or whatever, and that's an idea too.
Snow treader?
That's
tell me about that.
Right.
Oh,
so Valandrill, she posted the link to it so you could look at the stats on it.
Okay. Thanks for that. All right, so then I move on. If you following along with the materials, well, what do healers do? Sometimes there are people who get that tunnel vision concept going where they think, well, healers heal, right? But I wouldn't agree that that's all they do. And I would also like to throw out here, obviously when I'm in the heat of battle, when I'm right in the middle where we're getting max output healing, there is that point where I'm just busy healing and I can't afford to do a lot of else. So there is that point. However, if you're a good healer, can find ways to continue to buff the group and also to provide other offensive perks to the group to help the group ultimately overcome the enemy, because the goal isn't necessarily healing output. The goal is to win the battle.
Yep.
And sometimes when I talk about HPS, if you drag it out over like a 20-minute time period, I don't necessarily heal all that time. Every engagement, a lot of times I heal when it's necessary, and I provide my HOTS. But then after that, I'm trying to snare, CC, Purge and Cleanse, I mean, actually, I'm going to take number 7 out. Healers Resurrecting. I know it's something you can do, especially if you have Kagranax. But one of the things, and unless you're that, what is that? Magcrow. Unless you're a Magcrow or you have an ultimate that just gives you insta reses, I almost want to say that healers should avoid resing for the sake of keeping in mind that while you're resurrecting somebody, that's that much less heals that the entire team gets. And then I don't know how many times I've tried to res somebody, I get interrupted, and while I'm sitting there waiting to get, unstunned, my team is dying, literally just going right down. So
I agree. DPS should res.
DPS should res. I want to, or a tank, but definitely not a healer. Yeah. So I'm going to take number 7 out just because it's so confusing. For the fact that more often than not, I've suffered. Healers want to help people. They want to get everybody back in the group, but it's almost counterintuitive. Sometimes you have to avoid. It's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and you have to have that mindset as a healer.
Yeah. Well, I tend to always use my rapid regen when I go into battles. Nice. I usually rush in because I'm tanky. And
you love to chase Chris and Arcteon, who are avidly race after anything that moves.
So I put that on, put my rapid regen on, and then I tend to sort of dodge back, and then I put my prayer down, my combat prayer, which grants major berserk and minor resolve, and increasing the allies' damage done, physical resistance. So if I pop that on everyone, and then pop that, my ball, then everyone's pretty much covered and keep.
Nice. I love those. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then,
the issue I see sometimes though is you get people going in 3 different directions, and it's like I don't know. I guess I stay with Crown.
One of the things I want to see everybody do a little bit more is when people start going off Crown too much, try to remind Crown, hey, I'm having a hard time healing the group. I did that in that Sanctum Ophidian run that we had, where people started not stacking very good, and then I actually had to remind, hey, Crown, just heads up, I'm having a hard time healing the group. Sometimes, you get tunnel vision, especially as Crown, to not focus on healing as much. So heals may be focused on the Arcteons and Chris's running around with, bloodthirst in their eyes, and then neglect like all the other 10 people in the back that are getting DPS down by the enemy. Does that make sense? Maybe help me out if I'm Crown, or other people are Crown as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll slot the combat prayer again. I stopped doing it because of the range on it and people everywhere.
Yeah, I know, because people have to be in front of you, so it's hard to position yourself, but you get used to it. You sort of dodge back, pop it, and then you can run back into the group.
So, yeah, and then another thing we're going to talk about was debuffing the enemy. It isn't just about HPS. I snare. I love to snare. I CC if I can. Purges when I can, and then in addition to that, what is it? Major breach, elemental drain. Doing anything you can to snag resources from your enemies. So a lot of times, once I know that the healing situation is under control, I do switch to DPS on my healer just to snare people and to slow them down and to drain their resources so that my DPS can finish them off. So something to think about. And then go on talking about buffs. Obviously, Major Prophecy and Major Sorcery are like the most important. I feel one of the great things for heals and Magicka classes in general is keeping those buffs up constantly. Major Sorcery gives you the increase in base spell damage, whereas Major Prophecy gives you increased crit percentage. So like I said, I try not to slot Mage Light, but there's a variety of different ways you can use potions. some skills. Templars are the best about that. I think what is it? Vampire Bane or something like that. Skill gives you 5 seconds of major. I want to say major prophecy. Is that what it is? I think.
Yep.
Major
Reflective
prophecy.
light. Yep, vampires may.
The reflective light one.
Yeah, I think that's it. I haven't run a Templar in a while, but I think that's it. So it's almost like you could not run Mage Light and then just integrate a Vampire's Bane or one of those that skill into your rotation as part of your rotation, and have the ability to keep uptime on Major Prophecy up every 5 seconds. You just pop it off. It doesn't take a lot of magicka. It does a little bit of DPS, but more importantly, it gives you an extra slot on your bar. Right?
Yeah, it's a pretty strong dot.
There you go. Something to think about. I used it a little bit when I was in the Templar classes. All right, moving on. Major Resolve and Major Ward. I can't stress this enough. You can't heal a team if you're on your bum. You know, the getting knocked down and beat down and getting killed all the time is horrible. Horrible when your team, if you're in a close match fight with another team and you can out heal the other team, there's a good chance you're going to win. So always, if you, especially great for Wardens, not so much for Templars. The good news about the Warden is if you're working together and making sure your group composition is set right, have one Warden and one Templar, because you have a lot greater purges with your Templar, but you have a lot. You have that Ice Fortress with your Warden to keep that Major Resolve and Major Ward up at all times. That makes you a lot more tankier than not having it up. And I know that in Vet you're okay. I think there's a skill on a Templar that you get unlocked at level 42, which makes it great for Vet, but not so much for non-Vet. We get which one I'm talking about. One of the big kind of drawbacks about Templar, you don't get Major Ward and Major Resolve right away.
The rune, yeah.
Yeah, rune focus.
Yeah.
Rune focus.
This is what I used here.
I think.
Oh,
No,
it can be good,
but
especially
you
in
get-
Winter's Respite, and then because I think it procs that.
Nice. Question about
once
that.
you pop it, it's 25 seconds.
Yeah, the rune
Once you
focus.
pop it, you
don't
move
have-
out. It's still going on me.
Yeah,
See, it's still ticking down on me.
the rune focus isn't while you're in the circle. You just have to be in the circle to get it the first time.
Yeah.
So
pop
once
it
you
and
can
move out.
leave, and you're still good for 25 seconds.
Yeah, so it's there if you want to stand back in it to regain, depending on which one you morphed into, to regen magicka or stamina if you need it. You get back into the circle.
I think it does both, guys. I think you get better bonuses if you stand in it, but you still maintain some outside of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I
So you
didn't
sort
know
of
that.
go in and out of it.
Okay.
I think you still get Major Resolve and Major Ward, even if you're out of it, though, right? You guys not hear me?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to read what it says, and
Yeah, I'm just popping it now and looking at my... So, once a minute. Minor sorcery, minor resolve. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. I want to keep this hopping over here. We're running out of time very fast. And recovery. Used to be that the 2200 was like the number. Every healer had to have that, but now with the Warden class, I think you can get away with a little bit less. I've kind of gone down to about 1800 on Wardens because you get that there's that passive skill on the healing skill line that gives you like a refund of magicka for different spells that you cast. But some builds like Templars still probably need 2200 might be a little on the light side, depending on what skills you're doing and what the amount of magicka you're using for the different things. So in addition to healing, buffing, debuffing, and purging, it could go up much higher. So I'd say it's one of those things we have to experiment, but certainly a good number is at least somewhere around 2,200, 22,000 to 2,200, depending on what your class is.
Ooh, that's spicy.
And then one of the things I wanted to mention too is builds are like an equation. I always look at it that way, and that the more you can get away with, let's say for example, you can keep the group healed. You know, maybe you could use Winter's Respite and knock it down to 1,500 recovery. That's 300 more you can potentially translate into more max magicka, or more crit percentage, or more sustain, more tankiness for your physical and spell resistance. So I'd experiment with what you can get away with, but keeping in mind that at the end of the day, it's an equation. Try to balance recovery. Remember, having like 5,000 recovery does you absolutely no good if you can't put all that recovery to good use, right? You can't keep. If you can only heal so much, and you can only press the button so many times, and your animation canceling, and you still have this huge window of magicka remaining that you can't get rid of, it doesn't do you any good. So just experiment with that and find out what works for you. But I wouldn't go. I've seen some people on builds going like 4,000 mag recovery, and then not being able to use that pool in combat. It's like, okay, that's way overkill. Why don't you take half of that and put it into something else, like more max magicka? Change your Mundus Stone, you know? Y'all still hear me?
Yes. No, listening.
Yep.
Cool.
What if I want 4,000 mag recovery?
To each his own, my friend.
Oh no.
Is that
Where's
how
all
you
of
running your
that?
healer?
There's always a devil's advocate.
No, I just got back in from work. I got called back out to work. I'm just making my entry.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just teasing you. So, a couple things I want to make sure that I put some of the things that are
my tabard on.
very important. Focusing on sustain, focus survivability, tankiness, focus magicka, and then ultimately also I put this in hot pink for all you other healers out there. Crit resistance. Crit resistance is extremely important for all classes, but especially for healers. You got to avoid being burst down. Very important that you know your HPS. If you want to have an HPS DPS contest with somebody, fantastic, but you can't afford to be burst down. If you get one-shotted, or something like that, all the healing you can put out can do you absolutely no good. So crit resistance is important, and I do have a follow-up conversation, an add-on conversation to have at the bottom. Actually, if you won't mind just scrolling with me all the way to the bottom. Perhaps Obi-Wan has taught you well. Beaverton, myself, Armada, and even Kay, all running transmutation. That's a very good set because it buffs your crit resistance, which is critical for kind of mitigating some of that damage as it's being incurred by the group. My only warning about that, my only caveat to that, is that you can only get one transmutation buff at a time. So healers, check with your other healers. If you got two people running transmutation, switch it up. Like I said, that's why I run Olarime. So if somebody else is running transmutation, not everybody. Usually, I don't have multiple healers running both transmutation and Olarime. How Winter's Respite does stack, so you want to run multiple Winter's Respites as much as possible because that's certainly helpful for the group. The more you have, just like rad regen.
A good point.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Good.
I've got, like I said, I've got Heaties if we want to test that one again.
I do. So, does anybody else? Do we have two people running Hitties?
Pop that on now.
Oh, there's a break. You said mutagen stacks?
Yeah, rapid regen. The skill on the resto staff, you can have multiple people running it at the same time, and it stacks.
Oh crap! I didn't know. That's how them ball groups stay up so high.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
I didn't know that. Good to know. Good to know.
So one of the things that Beaverton was talking about, and I definitely agree with, is that a lot of these ball groups, a lot of the professional groups, they all have some form of healing. Like they're all running either Vigors or Rad Regen on all their characters, and they literally are. That is what is making them so impossible to kill.
Does that Vigor stack? Do you know that?
Yes, I believe it does. Right?
That one.
Yeah,
Yep.
Rad Regen. That's what we just talked about.
This one.
So you can stack Vigors and Rad Regen as HOTS, and it works on like if the whole group is stacking it, everybody in the group gets that level of
Yep.
of heals.
Shoot, yeah.
Yep. It's stacking
So-
on us.
Yeah, I mean, look at how it's going. Literally we're like bursting through tons of heals. At the same time, it's on my screen. I don't know about your guys' screens as well.
Yep. Yep.
So, all right. Glad we got all on the same page about that. And so, yeah, I need to go and do a little bit more research on Hitties. And I know it was really good. What was the tooltip again, if you would mind sharing?
Yep. I'll post it in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. When you heal yourself or an ally with an ability, gain a warming aura for 10 seconds, storing health
Wow.
every 2 seconds, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
That's
and
nice.
it feels like a really great.
I do like that set.
Yeah.
If everyone's running transmutation, I'm happy to use this one.
Yeah, that's a fantastic synergy set.
Yeah, I think I have Winter's Respite as backup on my.
Can you link that for
hey,
me?
hey guys, I have a question here.
Okay.
Which one do you pair Winter Respite with?
So I use it with transmutation, and that's I can link that in the chat as well. But again,
Yeah.
you can only get one transmutation buff. Here we go. I'll put that in the. Oops, that's. I don't know if I want to put it in zone. Put it in group. Yeah, you can only get one transmutation buff per person. I mean, per group. So once you have one healer running transmutation, you need to coordinate with your healers and not have multiple of the same buff. What you need to do is have healers with a couple different sets available. Like, for example, for me, my backup go-to set is Olorime. So I'm giving people, Major Courage? Major Courage for 20 seconds when I'm not running my...
I don't have it on this character. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So here, I linked it in the in there. So essentially that fifth. So if someone else is running transmutation, so the number one set to run on your healer with your Winter's Respite is your transmutation. But if someone else is running transmutation, Olorime works, and there's a variety. Hitties works. There's a bunch of great other armor sets I posted as well that have great buffs as well. Kagranax, especially on a Templar, can get people up in a hurry. Of course, it's again we talked about not using it on a healer because you don't want your healers to be down. However, with Kagranax on a Templar, it's almost like like 1 down to 1 second. You can heal people, you can res people.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick when I res them when I've got that on.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's depending on what you can do. And the great thing about Kagranax is it's a craftable set. So you just in our guild we have at least 15 master crafters. So any one of us can help out with armor, and that goes for the VS team as well. We're happy to, if you guys needed a set like a level 8 set or something like that, and you guys don't have anyone who can help. I'm not sure what the need is, but we certainly would help you out as well.
By the way, Valor, where are you pasting these links? We don't see anything.
Oh wait, are you guys not in the group? Are you guys in the group?
No, we
Oh,
are
you're
watching video.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're watching the stream.
So Rika, could you pull those links up and kind of click on them so that the street people on stream can watch it?
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, and then again, we wanted to talk about real quick. Moving on here, shields. One of the great things that Resto staff healing ward, fantastic, especially when you have someone who's low on health. Get literally looking. I remember my old buddy Red Sky sat there. He would jump into an AA raid and just spamming healing ward, running around rocks until people just got tired of chasing him. That little bastard. So healing ward is very effective, especially when you're getting a ton of DPS done on you. Keep you alive in a fight. Light armor skill annulment. Nice shield as well. Hardened ward for Sorks. DK's obsidian shield. Also, I don't know if it's still the case. I don't know if anyone can confirm this. It also provides you a bonus for repping walls. Did you all know that? Obsidian shield. Does it still do that? Yeah. It actually. That's how I used to always rep walls. I could get like an extra buff for wall repping because I would just hit obsidian shield. Did they ever change that? Does anybody know? I don't know about Beaverton. I know Templars.
I don't know.
Templars had a skill. I think it was
Ritual of
Retribution.
I used to do that too.
Do the same thing. You could rep the walls and get extra. Yeah, it's like the Cyrodiilian trick.
Yeah.
So, all right. Maybe it still works. I know I used to do it all the time, especially when I was trying to amp. So if you're trying to amp in Ice Reach or something like that, keep that in mind. And then a couple things we talked about, some sets, transmutation. Sometimes a great thing to do, especially in Ice Reach, is matching up a healing sustain set with a survivability set, like Fortified Brass, or the way Kay does it, Ancient Dragon Guard, as she shared with the group. Ancient Dragon Guard or Pariah. Pariah is another one. I think it was Eighth God was mentioning. I think I was missing. There's something. There was a set he mentioned as well. I think it was. I'm looking for it here. Iron Blood. Is there something? Yeah. Somebody said Pariah, Iron Blood. I'm not familiar with Iron Blood, but I would certainly. I'll go look it up, and if anybody wants to post it, if you enemies are running it right now, I'd certainly wouldn't mind checking it out.
Google it. No, it doesn't come up in sets.
I don't. I didn't think about it because I've never used it before. There it is. Somebody, and then for the people in Discord, could you share that, pop that link up so they can take a look at it, please? Wow. Nice. That's almost 100% uptime, too.
And these are the three sort of monster sets that I tend to use, depending on where I'm at.
Yeah.
And how many are in the group.
Yeah, Earthgore, Chokethorn, Mighty Chudan, but also, in addition to that, I think I mentioned in the materials, Night Flame and Troll King. Those are all.
King.
Yeah, also
did I link Troll King? I've got that here. Yeah.
Yep. I wanted to mention something that Beaverton already had pointed out as well about Earthgore. You know, a lot of people just run Earthgore, and that's because the Earthgore itself provides kind of like an anti-negate. Could you explain that a little bit for us, Sir Beaverton?
So Earthgore, when it procs, it purges ground effects, all ground effects, and negate is a ground effect. So if you have radiating regen on somebody and it procs the Earthgore, it'll purge a negate if they're in a negate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
It's amazing.
It's super helpful for the group. All right. Yeah, take our word for it.
it removes negative effects. Is the wording, I think. But it removes ground effects.
and it is extremely important for negate for countering negates on a sword.
Yeah,
So what the negate does, obviously, it stops people from using magic skills. Can people that are in the negate still receive healing, or is that only from the Earth Core?
No, you cannot receive heals inside a negate.
Yeah,
You
so
can't
but
receive,
the Earth Core can. Yeah.
you can't receive new heals, but your hots are still ticking.
Right. Right.
Okay, good.
Your
good
hots
point.
still tick.
Is that true for stam-based heals too?
Stam heals will heal inside
Like
of
vigor.
Yeah, vigor
that'll
will work. It's only magicka based heals. So it's really frustrating against wardens using budding seed because you can't heal anybody. But on a vigor, if you're using vigors, that's probably the only thing you can use. As soon as from a strategic or tactical standpoint, if you're in a group and a negate is put on your group either by an NPC or an enemy player, I almost always, if you have vigor, start vigoring, because the group's healing capacity may be substantially diminished by magicka users not being able to use magicka heals that are reactive based, unlike hots. Whereas if stamina based heals are not affected, so you can use those vigors all day long in a negate, and that might be the only healing people receive while they're inside a negate. All right, moving on real quick. I want to cut this as fast as I can here. So, food. I know Witch Mother's Potent Brew is always one of my favorites. Really great. I also mentioned Linked Bloody Mara, but now with there's a bunch of new options. I'm not sure that I think this might be outdated. I think Sugar Skulls or another good one. Artaeum Pickled Fishbowl.
And that one, I use both, but that one because it's
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned about not having any extra mag regen. I think.
I've got plenty.
All right. Well, if you're already good at that, Herman, there you go. I sometimes I like these Crown refreshing drinks. It gives me I'll link that in the chat here if you get them. But oops, these are pretty cool as well.
I'll link this as well if people don't have it. I'm pretty sure most of our group use these as well.
Lincoln, Witch Mother's Potent Brew, Max Magicka, Max Health, and Mag Recovery, with special emphasis on Mag Recovery. Yeah, and then pots, always good. Avoid being locked down as a healer. Keep those movability pots up. Detection pots, not so much. I like those on Nightblades a lot more, but certainly a healer movability.
I was going to say, I like running around doing it and catching people out. And then I yell out, "They're over here!"
Yeah, as they're getting away because you don't have the DPS to get them down.
No, come to me.
Everybody, I'm over here. Yeah.
Near the big tree, the deciduous one.
He's getting away. Come get him. All right, and then last but not least, I'm gonna finish this up as fast as I can because we already talked about some of the things. Heal stacking. Now we talked about rad regen. We talked about vigors. We talked about but keeping in mind, your HPS is the sum of all of your different heals taken together over per unit time. And I think it's important to note that it's really important to calculate it on a discrete engagement, in a discrete engagement type. I wish, like I said, that I had this issue going with Beaverton last week. I think that Beaverton's information was accurate, but it was probably over an extended period of time, and then unfortunately it kind of diminishes the utility of the information over such a long period of time. Whereas really, if you're in a one-off fight where it's going to last 1 minute, that's the perfect amount of time to say, hey, here's a 1 minute time, and this is how long the engagement lasts. A, you can prove that you have the sustain to keep healing throughout that entire engagement, and B, you can accurately determine your HPS for that discrete engagement, and it'll be very, very accurate for all the healers in the group that are affecting an individual person. So try to stack those heals, like 2-3 different heals all stacking together. Like for example, Winter's Respite, Rad Regen, and then almost value added to throw a Vigor in there if you had the utility just for fun. Doesn't hurt. And the more hots you have, the better you can do against negates. Help your team stay up in a fight. And a couple other things, some advanced techniques. Sometimes you can use bar swapping and animation canceling. That's one of the things I really want to talk about tonight. One last thing before we call it a night. Animation canceling on Rad Regen. There's a lot of one of the things I always do when I do my Rad Regen is I block while I'm casting it. So you cast it and block at the same time, and it reduces the amount of time it takes for the animation. It still procs, but you can I haven't timed it, but I think it's a lot faster if you animation cancel your Rad Regens. Give it a try, and if you guys come up with the same results, feel free to share. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? And again, I did provide the supplemental, so you guys can read along and follow the live stream, and hopefully it'll be helpful for everybody.
Thank you.
That was good. Thank you.
All right. You want to
Thanks, Valor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to cut the live stream and we'll get a group going. And thank you very much for our VS friends for coming over and spending time with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting us. I appreciate it very much. This was very useful.